Hey guys, welcome to this brand new video. It's a video on wherein I have created a Jenkins controller and I try to add couple of Jenkins slaves as a server and as a Docker container and as a Kubernetes pods. So I've added those things as a slave Docker to my Jenkins controller. So stay tuned and try to learn as much as possible during this video, as I've implemented each and everything in this video. So please watch and try to understand each and everything properly, because this was one of the interview questions which was asked by me during the interview. So people asked during the interview, like, how will you add slave to Jenkins controller? So I have shown you in this video like how to add Jenkins slave, and then I have shown you a couple of things. So now I have two servers. One is Jenkins server and another one is Ubuntu server, which has installed Docker, which is installed with Docker. And let me check the Docker version. I got the Docker version, and we have one RHEL server which has Jenkins installed already. I've not shown you how to install Jenkins and everything, because everybody knows how to install Jenkins and everything. Yeah, so I've not shown you all those things. So let's move forward and try to understand more about it. Okay, so but I've covered each and everything in the blog. I'll give the blog in the description. I've covered each and everything in the blog, how to create Jenkins and everything. So you can possibly read the blog and try to understand more about it. Let me give me a moment. So I'm checking something. So if I go and see the Jenkins, this is the blog I covered. This is the blog. You can possibly read the blog and try to understand more about it, because I've explained each and every step in detail in blog. You can read the blog and try to understand more about it. So let me keep my blog aside, and I'll add that in the link in the description anyway. So now let's check Jenkins server. If I come to Jenkins server, see, it is running on 100 IP, like 192.168.0.100, and my Ubuntu server would be on 105. Yeah. So my Docker is 105 and my Jenkins is 100. And if I go to settings, so go to so we add nodes by going to nodes. Click on nodes. Let me log in again. Sorry. Node, which is by default, it is a controller. Whenever we run a pipeline, it comes in that. So it runs in that. So actually, so if to add nodes, we need to click on nodes, new node. Click on new node and then add one Jenkins slave. I'll name it as Jenkins slave, permanent agent, and then let's try to add the root directory, home Jenkins. Let's add it as home Jenkins, and then label it as so home Jenkins. I have selected home Jenkins because I have to create a user, and then we have to create a password. This is the command to use, create the user. I've already created a user. That's why it exists. So you need to create one. So this is how you set password for this Jenkins agent. Once this is done, so this user is there, right? So we have to add that user, home Jenkins. So we have to create a user. Before that, we need to create a key in RHEL server in Jenkins server. That's the command for creating the SSH key, and then after that we have to copy the public key, and then you have to paste it inside Ubuntu server. You have to paste it inside .sh authorized key. So we have to create a folder, because that folder won't be there in the new user. So you have to create that folder using that command, and we have to copy it into authorized key so that it authenticates properly. It's complete key I've copied into authorized keys inside Ubuntu server, inside Docker server. Once this is done, let's try to SSH and see if RHEL is able to RHEL is able to communicate to Docker via SSH. We have to change the permission inside an Ubuntu server for this folder and for this file. You have to give complete permission for this folder, and then you have to give read-only permission to this authorized key. Once this is done, we have to SSH. We have to get into RHEL server and try to SSH. I tried to SSH without password. It is able to SSH, right? So SSH is working fine. So that should work fine. Mandatory for slave, because we are adding slaves as via SSH communication, not via JDK or Java something, right? So home Jenkins comes because of that, because we have a user called as Jenkins, right? So because of that, let's add label. Docker slave Docker, okay, name it as Docker only. Host, let's give the Docker host name where you want to communicate to, and then you have to click on launch method. You have to change some launch method here and there. Password, okay, username and password, you have to click on that, and then you have to add the ID. You have to take the private key from RHEL server. Copy directly and add. So you have to copy a private key. For private key, we need to go to cat.sh /id.rsa. So you have to copy this key, and then you have to paste it into that so that it communicates via this key. Add value. Okay, now let's create. Okay, to select that key. That key is selected. Now host key verification is we have to keep it as none. Docker variant of launch agents via SSH with SSH key. That thing you have to make it SSH key. Let me do that. Let me show you that. Oops. Okay. Let me again check. No, it is not working. It is not working. So let's log in again. That thing will be gone anyway. So because that path is not working, I suppose. So we have to remove the endpoint, that path and everything, and try to log in again. Yeah. Nodes. Have to add node again. Docker Jenkins slave. Create. And then you have to add key would be already there, I suppose. Root is home Jenkins. Labels would be Docker. Use this node as much as possible. Okay. Launch method, we need to change launch method to login agents via SSH. Yeah. Host would be 192.168.0.105. Credentials, let me select Docker credentials again. Okay, not Docker, it's Jenkins credentials. Okay, now just don't do anything, just move ahead, and it will be automatically showing the disk space and free swap space and free temp space and everything. It will show in some time. Let's wait for that. Let's refresh and see once, and let's see if it is working fine. Yeah, it came, right? it came in sync. It is in sync. So if I check the logs, it should be connected state only. Check the logs, should be connected online. Configure, everything is working fine. So I'll remove this label and try to add some other label. Jenkins label, Jenkins slave label. Yeah, I'll add that label. Let's create the pipeline now, and let's check if it is working fine. Let's name it as Jenkins slave, Jenkins -slave pipeline. Select pipeline, then OK. Yeah, and then let me give you the pipeline. What pipeline we need to add? Let me give you. I have already written it. It is there with me in the blog, so I'll copy it from there and try to add it. Let me add it. Okay, so label also I have added correctly. So let me run it now. Build now. When I build, it should run on that slave. It ran, right? So it ran on that slave, I suppose. It ran on that slave, Jenkins slave, on that. So it is using that label and try to fetch that node via that label. Running on Jenkins agent, it is saying, right? Running on Jenkins agent. Host name is Ubuntu, and who am I? Jenkins. Okay. So our thing is working fine as per expectation. Our thing is working fine. Our Jenkins label. So it is using that label and trying to fetch that node and try to add it and try to run that pipeline on this node. So if we say that this is the slave name, right? Jenkins slave, that's the label I gave. So that label I've given already also in the pipeline. So using that label, you try to communicate to this agent via that label only. Once this is done, so now let's move ahead and then try to add Docker persistent container as an agent. So once this is done, so we can move ahead and try to add Docker persistent container. So for that, you need to go here and add one node, Docker. You can name it as Docker container, Docker agent. New we can remove later point of time. We don't want new. So when we add Docker, so let me add label also for this. Controller, connected to the controller. Okay, and let me add the label. What is the label? I have not added the label. Let me check that. So before that, we need to pull an image, because we need to have image. So this image we have to pull, because it will use this image and try to run the container. So this image is there already. Let me check that. Docker images. Okay, that image is already there. Latest inbound agent, right? Inbound agent latest. It is there. So let me go there and try to refresh and see. Now we need to have one command which will not be available because I refreshed it. Anyway, the agent is connected, but I will not get the commands. I'll show you what command it is. We'll have to delete this agent and again we have to add it back. Let's delete the agent and again add back. Let me tell you what command it is. Let me tell you that Docker agent. Let me name it as Docker agent new, nothing. Docker agent. Docker agent, permanent agent. Okay, and then let's give home Jenkins. On this is done, let's give label as Docker or something. You need to give label. Let's name it as Docker, because that pipeline also we have to give the same label, Docker. So controller. Okay, and then now let's save and then let's move ahead and try. I'll show you what command I was missing. If I click on that, a new page will open like this. It will have the secret. So you have to use that secret to create the container. So we have to use this container. Secret is there, right? --secret. that thing. So that thing we have to have it before we create a container, because we have to use that secret and create a container. So let me write the command for creating the container. I already have the container with me, so let me check if I have the container. Let me delete those containers. So it is something that's running at the bottom, right? So I have to delete those container. rm -f, it will be forcefully, it will not remove. -f, it will remove forcefully, right? Okay. Docker ps, nothing will show. Okay. Let me copy this command and then try to write it again. So I've written already, I have the command with me. Let me change that secret and try to write it. Let me do that in the background. So I've given this thing in the blog. You possibly can read the blog and try to understand more about this thing. What command is doing? I've written everything, like what command is doing, like what is -d, and what is in Docker container. I'm saying like docker run -d will be using that command. It will have all the things actually. I'm writing that. Let's wait for some time. Let's copy it and then try to write it. So I have two monitors actually. I have one extension, one laptop, right? So I'm writing an extension actually, because if I write in this, it will be disturbance. So I've written the command. Now let's type it. Docker ps, nothing is there. So let's type it. Docker images. Let's check Docker images. Images. So it is there, right? So now we have to create the container. This is the command for container creation. No, not this. This is not the command for container creation actually. This is the command for curl agent jar. It is command for installing, for getting the jar information and everything. So this is not the command for creating the container. So I'll probably write the command for container creating right now. It will be docker run -d something. So see, if you see a docker run -d, docker agent, that's the name of my container. Restart, unless stopped, and image is this, and then Jenkins URL is 192.168.0.100. That's the Jenkins URL, and then secret. You see that secret? We got it from that. So 100, if you see 100, it is Jenkins server, right? So it is trying to communicate to Jenkins server by using the container. If you see the secret, that's the same secret I'm using there. If you enter, it will create the container. So docker ps, if you do, it has started the container. One container is started, right? So if you see docker Jenkins inbound agent latest, it has created the container. So after container is created, let's move to the dashboard and see if it is able, if it is online or anything. Like let's see that. Let's move here and try to click on Docker agent. It should be online. Should be online. Configure. Let's go to configure and try to see if everything is correct. Everything is correct. Let's try to write a pipeline and then try to trigger a pipeline and try and see if it's working fine. Docker container. Click on pipeline. And I've already written, so it is something which I have written. So let me copy that. Let me name it as so docker label. Click on that and let's run, build and see if it's working fine. Working fine, right? So it has ran on Docker container or Docker agent. If you see Docker agent, and this is the host name actually. Host name, if you see host name, that's the container name. So present directory, it will also show me like Docker PS. If I do Docker images and everything, it should give me the details of that. But I don't think it will help because Docker should be there inside the container, but we are running a container, but we are not running inside the container anything Docker, right? But it will fail anyway. But let me run that. It will fail. See, it failed because it says that Docker is not found inside the container. It doesn't work like this because we cannot run inside a container, container inside a container, because we have configured container per persistent container, right? So we can't run inside a container. We can't do that. Let me configure and remove those things, unnecessary things, and then run and then save again, and then try to see if it is working fine. It is working. It should work fine. And if you see the host name, that's a container name actually. Let's check if it is using the correct container name. Let's check. So using one container, right? This is the container actually, Docker agent. So this container, it got created already. It will be there until unless we delete it, because this is not this persistent container. This is not dynamic container which we created. So it will work until unless it is there. The pipeline will run inside this only until unless we give the label on the pipeline script. So it would work like this only. So let's move ahead and try to understand more about how to. Let's look at the logs and try to see if it is online connected and online. It is online connected, so our container is working fine as per expectation. Now let's check if it is using the same container which has been created. Host name, let's check the host name. No, it is not working. It should work. I don't know why it is not working. Let's check again. No, my container name is Docker agent. So let's check with the email. No, sorry. I'll check it now. Let's see. It's working fine now. I see. Now host name and also if I check in the pipeline, it will show me the same container. Let's check. It should show me the same container. 2.6 at the end, and also same container. So it is building via the same container only. So now let's create the ephemeral containers. Let's go ahead and try to create ephemeral containers. So we have created Docker persistent container right now, and then we'll create ephemeral container, like it will automatically come and will automatically go. For that, you have to create a folder. Let me copy that. So this is the command for that. This is the command. So there is a file called as override.conf, right? That file you have to add it. That won't be there by default, so we have to add that file. Let me get into that and then try to add that file. I've already added, but I'll show you what is in that override.conf file. So we have to add this service exec start and exec start user bin docker d -hfd ://-http that you have to add, because we are exposing Docker API on internet. I mean to say like 00000, like anybody on the internet will be able to access this Docker API. When I say internet, it is in my network only. I'm exposing. Let's check the port. Okay, port is working. Once this is done, so now let's go ahead and try to install some plugins. Let's check if that's accessible via REL server, like that API is working via REL server. So I'm able to reach the Docker server with REL server, right? So it's working fine. Now let's install some plugins, because those are required by my container, Docker container. So let's try to deploy some plugins. So these are the plugins which I've already installed it. You have to install it. So when you say Docker plugin, you see Docker plugin, API plugin, Docker plugin, and also Docker account plugin you have to install. These 3 plugins are supposed to be installed. Available if you have to search it like this. Docker, you have to go to search it like this, and then you have to whatever you find in Docker, you have to install everything. As of now, I've already installed. There are 3 plugins which are supposed to be installed. I've already installed it. So nothing to be done as of now. Yeah. So I've already installed Docker plugin. So this plugin, when you install this plugin, the Docker option will be shown in the cloud section when you want to add agent. So here it will be shown here. The Docker, that option is coming at the bottom right. Docker, the first option, it will come when you install this plugin. We deploy the plugins. We need to go to settings here at the top right side, and then to go to cloud. The dynamic hosts are added via cloud. You have to click on cloud. When you click on cloud, Docker will be available. Docker option will be available. 3 Docker options available. So give a name. Let's give it Docker Cloud. And then here you need to add certain details here. It is evolving. Let's let it complete. Once we have to provide Docker host, means we have to provide TCP. Docker host, this is the IP of my Ubuntu server, Docker host, and we have to click on enable. These are the steps we need to follow clearly for agent to set up agent. That's all. After that, let's check the connection. It is able to communicate, right? So yes, connection is working properly. After that, we need to click on Docker agent template. Add Docker template. In that, you have to provide the agent name. Agent label would be Docker Cloud. You can provide any of the agent label. Name is Docker agent, and then Docker image would be this one. Then root file system would be home Jenkins. And then we have enabled it, right? We have to enable that. That's it. And keep everything as it is. Attach Docker host, Docker container. That's very important. Either you do it via Java or SSH it will not work for container anyway, because container is totally private, right? So it will not work. Attach Docker container I am adding. When this is done, let's add it. Click on this. Our health should be 100%. It is 100%, right? So if we check in cloud statistics, it is bound. our agent is online. So after this is online, we need to go to pipeline. Let's check if it is working fine or not. Go to pipeline, add new pipeline. Doc cloud pipeline. Okay, and move down and then add this pipeline. Doc cloud we have given, right? So now let's check who am I. So that's that's Jenkins container. So let's check. Let's run this pipeline once and see if it is working fine. It is taking our agent. It has taken our agent, right? See, who am I? Jenkins, and container name is this. Let's check if our it is creating any container or not. Let's check. Docker ps was docker ps -a. Let's check now. Let's trigger the pipeline again and then try to see if new container is getting created. It should create one new container and then automatically delete it. Build now. Let's see now. It has created, right, 8 seconds back. So it has created 2 containers. You see. So it will create as many containers as we run the pipeline. Automatically it will remove that container. It has removed, right? So it is working fine as expected. So it has removed that container also. That 2 containers it has removed because the pipeline is running successful. So this is how you add Docker containers. Now let's add Kubernetes containers, Kubernetes pods, not Docker containers. We have added Docker containers. Now let's add Kubernetes pods and see how it works. Same approach, but there's a different thing we have to add. We have to add kubeconfig and everything. We have to add to create a token, and you have to add the dash token as a secret, and in the Jenkins, and then you have to trigger pipelines, and then new pod will be created automatically in Jenkins namespace. So till now, what we have done, we have added one server, then tried to add it as a slave, and it worked fine. And then we have added persistent container, like one Docker container we have added. It was working fine. Now we have added dynamic container, so it is automatically it is creating, automatically deleting. Let's add dynamic pod also, ephemeral dynamic pod. Let's see. Now to add Kubernetes pods as Jenkins pipeline jobs. Maybe you can call it as jobs, but those are pods. To add that, we need to have 3 plugins. Let's go to plugins. It's already installed, but let me show you what plugins we need to install. Available Kubernetes. If we select Kubernetes, so Kubernetes, there are many more plugins already here. Not installed plugins, sorry. So we need this client API plugin, and we have credential provider we need, and we have credentials. We need client plug. We need all these plugins which are supposed to be installed. We've already installed. So we need Kube API plugin. This plugin we need, and then we need credentials plugin. We need this. So whatever you find in Kubernetes installed in available, you install basically all of them which are required. It will show you many, but we pretend to install only one Kubernetes client API. So it is there in the blog. I'll show you in the blog. Like these are 3 plugins we require actually. So these 3 plugins, if we install these 3 plugins, automatically what will happen is automatically in cloud you will find this option of Kubernetes, option of if you add new cloud, option of Kubernetes will come. So when you install plugin, then only it will come. So let's create it. Kubernetes cloud once we install this, we need to go to, let me show you, like where we need to add the API. So let's add that. Let's add the API server. Once we add that, we need to go. Okay, we have to create secret also. Once we go here, we need to add in Jenkins this. I created instance called as Jenkins is already here. Let me check that. Okay, get ns grep Jenkins. So this is a kind cluster. So there's a way to create kind cluster. So by creating the kind cluster, you need to be careful with one of the thing. Let me tell you what exactly you have to be careful with. Let me take that blog. I'll give you the blog in description. Kind blog. This blog I'll give you in the description. You can possibly read the blog and try to understand. So we're actually exposing our cluster to create. Okay, let me tell you what exactly we are doing. So we are exposing our cluster to internet. All network we are giving it. This is very important. Like this configuration you can use to create the K3 kind cluster, and then after that you need to perform all these things. These are not required actually. These are not required. Only if you remove these things, that works. So this is the configuration of kind cluster. So you can possibly use this blog and try to create kind cluster by yourself and try to do this experiment. So this is the kind cluster. So here you see, like I have exposed on all network 0000. I've given 000 and exposing 6443 port, means API server I'm exposing on. As this is the kind cluster, it is created on Docker, right? So Docker is completely private container. So private container it will not be accessible via Redl server, my Jenkins server. So to make it accessible, I created this way. So once this is created, we need to check if Jenkins namespace is there. Namespace is already there. Once namespace is there, we need to generate a token. Generate a token. Token is generated. So we need to copy this token. Let me close this. Let me close this as well. Okay. Disable HTTPS, and then we need to add here, add global, and secret text you need to add. Secret text, add it here, token, add token, and use kind token. Once this is done, so let's use that token as for authenticating to the cluster. Jenkins server authentication to Docker cluster, Docker node or K8s node or K3s node, you can say. Or test the connection now. It should be accessible. It is connected to Kubernetes 29.1. WebSocket, we have to use WebSocket. Click WebSocket. Once this is done, don't touch anything. Just save. And now go again inside this K8s. You have to configure pod templates. Add pod template. Pod template name give as K8s agent. Namespace Jenkins. Label as K8s agent. And use this node as much as possible. That's all. And then we have to add something in the container section. Add in container, create container template, So we have to add JNLP Docker image. We need to use that same Docker image which we have used till just before sometime. Docker image, and then the directory will be same that it is already taken. Remove this leaf, and then we have to remove this 99999. Remove this, or else your container will be stuck in launching state only. Your pipeline will be stuck in launching state only. It will not move forward if you don't remove all these things. Argument to pass with the command and command to run. If you don't remove these two commands, it will stuck in launching state only. So the pod will get created, but your pipeline will be stuck in launching state only. That's it. Now let's check health. It will not show as 100% as of now. Let's create the pipeline now. Let's create the pipeline. New Kubernetes cloud pipeline. Then come down and add this thing Kubernetes agent as the label which we gave for this node, right? So label we gave. Let's build this. Let's see if it works fine. Console output. Okay. It worked fine, right? So it is building on Kubernetes cloud. Okay. Now let's see if it is creating pod or not. Let's see. Get pods -n Jenkins. Okay. And then let's give w watch. Let's trigger the pipeline again and see if it is creating the pods or not. It should create pods. It has created, right? So it has created some pods, and one pod it has created, and it is again terminating once the pipeline is completed. So we have successfully created Jenkins slave as Kubernetes pods. Nothing is there now. So we have successfully created Jenkins slaves as Jenkins slave as Kubernetes pods. So these are dynamic Kubernetes pods which gets created when we trigger a pipeline, and then it gets deleted when the pipeline run is completed. That's how it is. So in this complete video, I have covered 4 things, right? First thing is we have added a server Ubuntu as a slave to Jenkins controller, and then try to see if everything is working fine by running a pipeline on that slave by using that label. After that, we have created one Docker container and kept it as persisting. Like it should be always there, and it will run only on that container. So we have tried to create one container, and then we try to run the pipeline, and then it ran on that slave. And after that, we wanted to do dynamic containers, right? So for dynamic container, what we have done is we have created we have created one cloud. In cloud, we have added one node, a node as a slave Docker. And then we have configured certain things, and then we ran pipeline on pipeline using that label, and ran on that container, and it automatically deleted the container once the work is completed. And after that, we've configured Kubernetes cluster by using secret token, not secret token. So we have authenticated using token, and then we have tried to trigger the pipeline, and pipeline triggered the pod, and pod automatically created and automatically deleted. Once that is done. So the health will not be shown here, but if we check in nodes, it should show here. So it is showing here. It is not showing here, but it will show. If I trigger the pipeline again, it will show here. The node name and all, it will show here in nodes. It should show. It doesn't show. Sorry, it doesn't show in nodes. It shows in cloud. But in cloud, if I see Kubernetes, the health doesn't show health, but it is provisioning, and it is deleting and creating the pods as per the run pipeline. So our experimentation is completed properly. We have implemented 4 things in this complete video. Like 4 things, right? 4 things. Yeah, 4 things. Yeah. First server, then container and persisting container, and then dynamic container, and then dynamic Kubernetes pod. 4 things we have covered in this video. So that's thank you for watching, and then I'll probably add a link to create the container also in the description. You possibly find the description in the kind container in the description. You can possibly look at that and try to create our own kind cluster. So for this experimentation, I would suggest only two servers are required. EC2 servers are required. So one EC2 server will have Jenkins, other EC2 server will have Docker, and then Docker also will have the kind cluster and Kubernetes cluster. So that's how it is. If two servers are there, you'll be able to do this experimentation cleanly and then understand each and everything. So this question was asked to me by one of the interviewer in the interview, like how do we add Kubernetes pod as Jenkins slaves? So I told him a couple of steps, but I was not able to show him like how I did. But I showed you in this video like how do we do that. So overall, this is how you add this is how you add Kubernetes pods and Docker containers as persistent volumes and Linux servers as a slave to the Jenkins controller. That's all I want to cover in this complete video. Thank you for watching, and hope you like this video. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and then share with the people in DevOps community whoever wants to learn this kind of videos. If you want this kind of videos, can subscribe to the channel or click the bell icon so that you will get notification of whenever the new video is uploaded. So I'll probably make this kind of videos again and again. Thanks for watching.